Morgoth and Sauron, two of the most iconic dark powers in Tolkien's legendarium. Both are architects of evil, but how do their legacies truly differ? Today in Fantasy Archive, as we delve into the Dark Lord's origins, powers, and ultimate goals, you'll witness the threads that connect them and the chasms that set them apart. Stay tuned and don't miss a moment of this thought-provoking exploration. In the beginning, when Eru Ilúvatar created Arda, Tolkien's planet, he also created the Valar to manage and maintain order in Middle-earth. But Melkor, the strongest of the Valar, became rebellious and decided to become a lord of his own. He wanted to create a world in his image instead of Eru's, to be the sole possessor of powers. But only Eru could create life. When he wasn't able to accomplish his desired result, he started a war against the other Valar while ruling Middle-earth with his fires, darkness, and evil creations. Melkor, after turning to darkness, was renamed as Morgoth. Melkor wanted to be the Almighty. He even tried to find the flame imperishable, thinking it was Eru's source of power, but he couldn't find it. When seeing the children of Ilúvatar, Eru's creations, he despised them, considering them weak, and his purpose became the destruction of elves and men. So he started manipulating and corrupting the things Eru had created. In this way, he created an army of orcs, trolls, dragons, and many other evil things. As Morgoth persuaded many people to join his cause, Sauron was one of them, and guess what? Sauron had ambitions of his own. He saw Middle-earth as a machine that wasn't working properly. He wanted order, perfection, productivity, nothing wasted. He wanted to impose his will on Middle-earth, and Morgoth became a means to achieving his ends, eventually replacing him as the Dark Lord after Morgoth was captured and sent to the Void. But the question is, how did Sauron become powerful enough to do that? Was he more powerful than Morgoth? What was the difference between them? Every Valar had different powers back then. Morgoth's abilities before his ultimate fall from power included the power to curse those who were against him, the capability to shapeshift and deceive his rivals, great physical strength and pyrokinesis, manipulation of the weather and the elements, manipulation of emotions, illusion creation, invulnerability, among others. Morgoth distributed his power among his creatures and army, so that he could rule and enforce his decisions, control them wherever and whenever he wanted. His mere presence could corrupt anyone surrounding him. Eventually, it resulted in diminishing his size and draining his inherent power, becoming weak with the passage of time, but ensuring his evil spread far and wide. His spirit was imprinted in Arda so much that it was called the Marring of Arda. On the other hand, Sauron was a Maiar and not a Valar. He had many abilities similar to Valar like immortality, shapeshifting, etc., but he was technically less powerful and a lesser being compared to Morgoth, no questions asked. At this time, Morgoth could have easily beaten him in combat, but after Morgoth was imprisoned, Sauron found a way to enhance his powers. Sauron used his powers in aiding the elven smiths of Eregion and their leader Celebrimbor in the making of the Rings of Power. He then secretly forged the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom, by which he could control all the other rings and those who wore them. That said, perhaps Sauron could have defeated Morgoth when he was at the peak of his powers and when Morgoth was weakened. But when both of them were at their bloom, Morgoth could have vanquished Sauron. Morgoth's power was probably why the Valar had to take matters into their own hands versus just sending the Astari to help Middle-earth against Sauron. Both Morgoth and Sauron influenced Arda vastly. Let's discuss Morgoth's influence. Remember, his primary goal was to destroy the elves and men. He couldn't really destroy Ilúvatar's children because after destroying their physical bodies, their souls would still exist. So his hope was to absorb their spirits into himself. His primary strategy was invading the thoughts of men through our fears, more importantly, our fear of death, taking away that sense, the gift of Ilúvatar. because men's souls could live beyond Arda, contrary to those of the elves. Nevertheless, no human could really avoid the fear of death that Morgoth implemented into us. His core play was despair. Tolkien had described him in following way in his book. And he descended upon Arda in power and majesty greater than any other of the Valar, as a mountain that wades in the sea and has its head above the clouds, and is clad in ice and crowned with smoke and fire, and the lights over the eyes of Melkor was like a flame that withers with heat and pierces with a deadly cold. Sauron, on the other hand, did his corruption via tools. He had the idea of the rings of power and forged the One Ring, which had the ability to corrupt elves, men, and even fellow Maiar. Since his goal was to rule all and make them submit, his core play was power and greed. Through the rings he created an illusion of power. But whoever wanted to destroy Sauron couldn't own and control the ring without being the substitute of Sauron himself, herself, and that person could eventually become corrupted, just like Golem and the Nazgul. Sauron's dark energy was so influential that even a noble wizard like Saruman unknowingly started following the same wicked path as that of Sauron, and somehow filled himself with envy against Gandalf and started to hunt the ring for himself in a craze of power. Both had wars and battles fought in their names. Both grew immense armies and caused uncountable death and sorrow to the inhabitants of Middle-earth. Both Sauron and Morgoth are highly intelligent beings, but they possess different types of intelligence and exhibit distinct qualities. Morgoth possesses great knowledge and understanding of the world due to his status as one of the Valar. His intelligence is characterized by his strategic thinking, cunning, and ability to corrupt and manipulate others. He is a master of deception and employs his vast knowledge and power to sow discord and darkness throughout Middle-earth. Melkor engaged in constant conflict with his fellow Valar, skillfully diverting their attention and efforts away from his own sinister agenda. Exploiting this window of opportunity, he orchestrated the destruction of the two great lamps, plunging the world into darkness and facilitating the proliferation of his corruption. As a direct consequence of the lamp's demise, the Valar constructed Valinor, inadvertently granting Melkor near absolute control over Middle-earth. Astoundingly, Morgoth displayed his shrewdness, eventually managing to deceive the Valar into believing his innocence after enduring countless ages of captivity. This deception marked the inception of Morgoth's grand design to corrupt the elves, signaling the commencement of his scheme to amass a formidable army and sow discord among the races of Middle-earth. Overall, Morgoth managed to execute his mischief from the moment he stepped into Arda throughout all of the First Age, leaving his marring all over. Sauron's intelligence, on the other hand, lies in his craftiness, ability to organize and control, and his skills in sorcery and forging magical artifacts. He is known for his ability to exert influence over others and manipulate events from behind the scenes. Sauron is a meticulous planner and is skilled at rallying allies and creating powerful alliances. He endures beyond Morgoth's downfall. Sauron deceived the king of Numenor, Ard-Pharazôn, and corrupted the kingdom from within. Through his cunning, he manipulated the Númenóreans into challenging the Valar and launched an assault on the Undying Lands. This act led to the downfall of Númenor itself, and Sauron's spirit survived and returned to Middle-earth. Using his remarkable shape-shifting talents, Sauron tricked the innocent elves into crafting the infamous Rings of Power during the Second Age. His grand scheme revolved around enslaving the remaining elves in Middle-earth, whom he considered his most formidable adversaries. To achieve this, Sauron secretly forged the One Ring deep within the depths of Mount Doom. By infusing it with a fragment of his own soul, he bestowed upon it tremendous power to control the other rings. This devious act stands as a testament to Sauron's unwavering determination and a resilience as a Dark Lord, allowing him to persist as a reoccurring menace throughout the Second and Third Ages. We can say that Morgoth was more slick, as his rule and terror lasted for an unfathomable amount of time, and his corruption spread further than Sauron could ever muster. However, it could be argued that in an emotional and perhaps political sense, Sauron was in a way superior to Morgoth.